having the Freemen MineCraft Adventure announcement. This quick announcement is going to be about the different rules and the way the adventure is going to be played. The first couple things that have to be said is, of course, you are not playing this game the way you traditionally play Minecraft. Instead, there are new sets of rules that are put in place to help the game strive. That means things that would be considered unrealistic to the real world, like flying, will not be happening in this adventure. Unless you find some very specific items. But I don't want to give anything away, so let's just get into it. First things first, of course, if you break any of the rules or any of the guidelines in any way, shape, or form, you will be removed from the game, which is in no way, shape, or fun for anyone, including those who are running the game. The other thing that you need to be worried about is death is permanent. There's no resurrections, there's no coming back, there's no saving your character at the last minute. If you're about to die, you will die. Keep that in mind as you move forward with this adventure. We're going to very quickly talk about 3 extremely important things that you have to know before starting the game. 1, the economy. 2, different skill sets. And lastly, my starting class. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off by talking about the NASA economy. Now, Minecraft does not have an economy, so we had to completely build this ourselves, and there are a lot of little pieces to it that you need to be well aware of. The way the system works is gold equals credits, and credits are worth a certain amount. 1 gold nugget equals 1 gold credit. 1 gold ingot equals 10 credits. 1 block of gold equals 100 credits. Anything else in the world doesn't have a set value. It's all based on free trade. So let's say you have a block of wool that you want to sell. If you can convince another player to buy it from you for 10 credits or 1 gold ingot, well, that's wonderful. Good job for you. But if you go to the store and try to sell a single block of wool, there's a good chance that the individual buying the wool will simply only give you a credit, if you're lucky. So it's all based on how you speak, where you go, who you trade with. So keep that in mind when thinking about the economy. Now, the typical form of currency you'll be carrying around is gold, and you will start the game with some gold to help you get started. And gold is the end game. The end game of the Minecraft adventure is for you as an individual to eventually get to a point that you stop the adventure at your choosing point and become part of the build team, writing the adventures for the next set of adventurers. And that comes along with buying land and building a home. Now, if you say buy land, there are 2 ways to go about buying land, and that is with either the bank or a fellow landowner, such as maybe one of the builders who owns a lord's manor. If you buy from a landowner, well, that price is 100% up to them. Again, it's a free market. If you buy from the bank, there are some set prices, and these are here to kind of give you an idea of how valuable gold is. If you were to buy, say, a small amount of land in or around Nassau, which is a small 8 by 8 area, I mean, as you can see behind me, my throne is bigger than that. That is 1,000 credits. That's a good chunk of money. And that's not the building materials to build it. Let's say you don't have the skill to craft the building materials yourself. That means you have to hire someone to craft it. That's even more money. That's how valuable money is, and that is how important it is. If you buy, say, a medium area, which is effectively a little bit larger, a 15 by 15 area, a little bit lower class territory, that's 2,500 credits. If you buy a upper class or large area, which is 25 by 30, that's 10,000 credits. If you buy nobleman area, that is a 30 by 50 area, that is 100,000 credits. Mind you, this is all just for the land. It has nothing to do with the actual building materials or anything of that nature. Finally, the last piece of land you can buy from Nassau is considered land base of trade, which is actually a 500 by 500 area, and that is effectively a castle, your own land to sell off and section off as you see fit, you are by all means a lord of the land and a lord's estate, and that is 1,000,000 credits. I know for some of you, you're like, well, I want to play the adventure and I want to be a part of the build team, so I'm just going to save enough money to make myself a medium-sized home and then become part of the production team. But I'm sure some of you that want to go for the 100% and, of course, get the castle and have a big old castle just like mine. Now, with the land and how land transfers, there is the options for loans of lands. However, loans come from the bank and are all at the bank's discretion. Now let's talk about the most important aspect of the economy and the most important aspect of the bank. The bank is the only location to save currency and keep it safe. However, there is a downside. If you are depositing large amounts of currency, it is taxed. So, here's how it works. Let's say you open up a bank account with the Bank of Nassau and you have 100 gold nuggets. If it's all gold nuggets, you are not taxed. You deposit that money. Now you're asking yourself, why do I need to put money in the bank? The only way the bank account is there to save you, to keep your character from losing everything. That is the only way to keep from losing everything. What I mean is, since your character permanently dies, if your character dies in this adventure and you have a bank account with 100 credits in it, that account is inherited by your new character, or even another player of your choosing if you so wish. Now, let's say you took it a step further and you opened up a safety deposit box with a bank, a chest that's holding special items, including possibly a deed to land you own. All of that will also transfer as inheritance to your new character or a player of your choosing. This is the only way to get around the death aspect of this game. When your character dies, your character will get a plot in the graveyard. If it has bank accounts and safety deposit boxes opening, it will transfer. If it has none of that, everything on your character will simply lay there on the ground until another player picks it up, or maybe the city will take control of it based on where it's located. So I highly recommend that you go to the bank, talk to the bank, and learn about the bank, as it is your only safety net to death. And it's only effective if you're using it to its peak. Now, let's talk about taxes with the bank. If you're depositing large sums of gold into the bank, there are taxes. Those taxes are basic, relative, and small amounts. The idea is to keep it fair and keep people from cheating the system and making their own gold and so forth and so on. I wouldn't worry too much about it, as the average player is not going to notice, but just be aware that it's there. Now that you understand the importance of the economy and how the economy works a little bit and what the gold is, let's go ahead and talk about the skill sets. Skill sets allow you to do different things within the game that are traditionally just 100% given to you right at the start of Minecraft. But for us, we felt it was really unrealistic that everyone had the ability to fly, had the ability to mine down to the core of the earth right off the bat. So we've adjusted the skill sets. Now, based on what class you choose, you could have some of these skill sets, or maybe you'll have none. But the one thing is every 50 levels in the game, which you earn XP by just going out and doing things, by completing adventures and completing quests, you will gain skill sets. These skill sets allow you to advance your character, advance your team, and advance your adventure to the next level. Mind you that this game is full of a bunch of things, but I'll get into that at the end. The skill sets are following: mining, lumberjacking, fishing, farming, crafting, blacksmithing, alchemy, and enchanting. They break down a little bit further into that. A basic miner can only mine a handful of things. An advanced miner can mine more important things. And of course, an expert miner can mine everything. Lumberjack, you can of course cut down trees and turn them into wooden building materials. Fishing is self-explanatory. It allows you to just go out and fish, gather food from the sea, as well as a tradable item. There are fish markets. You could make money off of fishing. The farmers are of course able to grow their own crops, grow their own food. And if you upgrade farmer to rancher, you get the ability to also do animals. That means taming horses, having cattle, and sheep to create wool, pigs to create food, several options there. Next one down is, of course, the crafting skills. We have crafters. Crafters start off with one very important ability, which is the ability to smelt down ore that is mined up. They also have the ability to make some basic household items. At their second level, they're able to make building materials for houses. And at their third level, they're able to make redstone contraptions. Redstone is the electrical work in the Minecraft world. Blacksmiths. Obviously, most people know what blacksmiths are, but in this game, they have the ability right off the bat to make iron, leather armor, some stone tool work. Advanced blacksmiths can make gold armor, and iron tools and gold weaponry, while an advanced blacksmith or expert blacksmith can make diamond, or the highest level of materials. Alchemy, they start out with making several basic potions. Healing potions, protection potions, speed potions. Skilled alchemists can augment and make these stronger, and then an expert or master alchemist can make lingering ones, which are absolutely devastating. The final skill set, enchanting, is broken into 3 categories: apprentice, skilled, and master as well. An apprentice can do enchantments from a level 1 to 10, a skilled can make it 11 to 20, and master makes it 21 to 30. There's a lot of information there, but I don't have the time to explain it all. You really will have to get into the game, but this gives you a basic idea. And also, if you wish to know more about Minecraft enchanting, alchemy, blacksmithing, crafting systems, or mining, just simply Google it at your leisure, and it'll give you more information. Now that you understand the skills and how they're going to work, we're going to talk about the final little piece of this adventure that you need to be aware of, which is the classes. At the start of your adventure, you will start with one of these 5 classes, and these 5 classes will determine what type of gear you start with, what type of skill sets you start with, and kind of help you get started on your adventure. There are 2 battle type classes, 1 trader, and 2 skill-based classes. We're going to start off with our combat classes. Our very first combat class is the mercenary. You start with heavy, strong armor, strong sword, a horse that has light armor, as well as 50 credits worth of gold, some food, and some healing potions. So you're a very strong entity right off the bat. The downside, of course, being you have no skill sets at the start of the game as a mercenary. If you're a traditional D&D player, you can think of this as your tank character. This is the one that is most likely to survive. However, we'll have to spend a little time getting a little bit stronger in the other utility aspects of things. The next combat class is Hunter. You start with light armor, a bow and some arrows, a horse but no armor on it, the fishing skill, 50 credits worth of gold, and a small amount of food. So now you have your range fighter that has 1 utility skill and of course has the ability to create his own food thanks to that skill. So there's benefits there, and obviously there's benefits in the tank as well. Out of our 2 combat starting classes, the other ones, unfortunately, don't start with any combat abilities right off the bat. They don't start with armor or anything of that nature. So let's go ahead and get into our worker class, also known as the journeyman. A journeyman will start with a working skill set of choice, some gold, and their skill set. So the way it works is that if you start as a journeyman, you're going to actually start with 100 credits worth, food of course, and then let's say you decide to choose the working skill miner. You're going to start with everything that you need to be a miner. A pickaxe, a small sword, and some torches. That allows you to walk right into the city and start mining if you need to, and start working on that skill. The next one, of course, in the working class or journeyman is you could be a journeyman with the enchanter skill. With the enchanter, you start off with some lapis, books, and a couple basic enchantments to help you get started. The final one in the journeyman is the farmer. You can choose to start out as a journeyman with the working skill of farmer. If you choose to start with the working skill of farmer, you actually start with land, which is important. However, it's on loan from the bank, And then, of course, you start with all the tools appropriate to that. So when you go to start your adventure, if you have a question about those particular classes and how they work a little bit detailed, we, of course, will gladly answer them before the adventure starts. Now, let's talk about the Craftsman class. Craftsman starts with one of the crafting skills and, of course, 100 credits worth of gold and a small amount of food. If you start in the Craftsman class and you decide to be a blacksmith crafter, you're going to start with everything you need to be a blacksmith and some basic materials to go ahead and start making armors, weaponries, things of that nature. If you choose to be an alchemist, you're going to start with everything you need to start a couple potions, brewing things, and get started working on your alchemy skill. If you decide to be a craftsman and you decide to just have the crafter skill, which is primarily used for making building materials, furniture, and all the odds and ends of the world that like you see around me, like the lamps you see glowing behind me, you're going to start with a furnace, which allows you to smelt, which is important, crafting table, and some materials as well to help there. Again, when you go to start your adventure, if you're confused about the Craftsman class or the Journeyman class, we will gladly help and explain those to you before the start of your adventure. The final class is the most, I will say, well start out with class. However, it is definitely the weakest class. As you're well aware, the most important thing in this game is actually currency. It's not so much the XP that affects you, it's currency that affects you and allows you to grow and adjust and advance yourself. So, this is the trader. If you start as a trader, you actually start with 1,000 credits worth of gold. You also start with 2 trade items of your choice. Examples of that being wool, fish, feathers, flint, gunpowder. And you also start with your own llama with a chest on its back to help carry around your goods. So, of course, you don't have any defense or anything of that nature. You also don't have any skills as a trader. However, you start off with the most important thing, which is currency and the ability to make currency right away. So those are our 5 classes. Like I said, you have your 2 combat, which are mercenary and hunter, your 2 workers, craftsman and journeyman, and then, of course, finally, your trader. This is what you're going to have to decide when deciding to join the Freemen MineCraft Adventure. What class do I want to start as? Where do I want to begin my adventure? Now that you have that information, it's time to tell you a little bit about the adventure itself and the details to the adventure. This is a very unique game. Obviously, it's unique for the aspect that the Freemen have built it for the Freemen, and it was built by other Freemen. So we have Easter eggs riddled in this game that has ties to Sea of Thieves, our original homeland, has ties to the Freemen's past, has information about our history, Easter eggs about the builders, Easter eggs that give you gold. It's all over the place. The detail is insane. With that also being said, there is one amazing piece of this adventure that I think everyone needs to be aware of and recognize. And that is, unlike other games that you play where you are dealing with a computer that can only answer you in so many different ways, all our NPCs are people. You're dealing with other players. And by dealing with other players, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to change. You never know what's going to go down. So, I hope that you all are excited about starting on this adventure and starting on your own path to royalty or thievery or sailing, whatever you choose. It's 100% open, which is what excites me. We have the ability to even be a warehouse worker if you choose. I don't know why you're going to choose that as your adventure, but hey, if you say, you know what, I want to be a warehouse worker. Well, you know what? Congratulations. We have that set up for you. Everything's possible within the Freemen MineCraft Adventure. I'm excited to see it coming out. Stay tuned later this week for the drop of the teaser trailer that shows you how our story starts. And I cannot wait to see you all in Nassau. We are the Freemen of Nassau. We game together. We die together.